What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone, but I'm glad it did. It was the day my family learned that our worth was more than just a ticket, and that standing up against prejudice could stir ripples of change. The Gibson family, Robert, Lisa, with our children Maya and Thomas, walked up to the boarding gate with smiles and excitement, ready to celebrate our grandmother's 90th birthday. But the moment we approached Marcus, the flight attendant, that excitement twisted into disbelief. His dismissive glare told us everything. Our first-class tickets meant nothing to him. When Marcus coldly denied us boarding, the tension thickened in the air. Other passengers watched, eyes wide, as Lisa and I pleaded our case. I felt a fire ignite within me, fanned by past experiences of discrimination. My frustration was palpable. I decided to call a higher authority, aware that my calm demeanor dismantled the chaos around us. As I spoke into the phone, I could see Marcus tense, an anxiety boiling beneath his bravado. My words weren't just for me. They were for all the families like ours, treated as if we were invisible. Finally, airport supervisors arrived, and what was once a moment of unfairness transformed into a pivotal moment of accountability. Marcus was met with a contrite smile from the airline manager, a sharp contrast to his earlier disdain. In the aftermath of that day, I reflected on the power dynamics at play. My call became a catalyst for change within the organization I once feared, inspiring new policies and anti-racism training. We stepped into a future where our dignity was recognized, no longer just passengers, but valued customers, with a story worth telling. Through our struggle, we ignited a conversation about respect, challenging the status quo. Our family's resilience echoed through the airline, reminding us all that true change requires not just action, but the courage to assert our worth in the face of injustice. "Excuse me, can we get on the flight?" Lisa asked, her voice wavering as they approached the gate, tickets in hand. Marcus, the flight attendant, glanced up, a condescending smirk twisting his lips. "First class, this is a mistake." Reflex clenched his fists, glancing at Lisa as she took a step forward. "No mistake. We have first-class tickets, celebrating my mother's 90th, and—" "This isn't about the tickets," Marcus interrupted, his tone icy. "We can't have you boarding with those outfits." "And mean," Robert shot back, anger blazing in his eyes. Other passengers shifted uncomfortably, their gazes darting between the family and the attendant. "Sir, it's just not appropriate," Marcus sneered, his expression dripping with disdain. "Let's not make a scene. You're treating us like we don't belong here." Lisa's voice broke, desperation seeping through. She turned to their children who were wide-eyed, confused. "Maybe I should call someone," Robert said, leveling his gaze at Marcus. "A supervisor. Perhaps someone who knows how to treat customers." Marcus rolled his eyes, dismissive. "Go ahead, it won't change a thing." With practiced calm, Robert pulled out his phone, his heart pounding. As he dialed, the tension thickened in the air. The weight of countless injustices settled heavily on his shoulders. His arms, a flicker of unease flashing across his face as Robert's call connected. What's he going to do? Tell me I'm wrong? But the family held strong, unwavering. As air traffic swarmed and Robert's voice cut through the chaos, they knew they were not alone. The call reached Richard Calloway, a powerful ally, awakening the hope simmering beneath their frustration. The Gibson family hovered near the ticket counter, their excitement palpable as they prepared to board their flight. Robert, Lisa, Maya, and Thomas, each holding their first-class tickets, shared glances, anticipation flickering like candlelight. But amidst the airport's energy, Marcus, the flight attendant, stood as a stark blockade. His expression was cold, his eyes dismissive. As the family approached, unease settled in the air. "Excuse me, sir," Lisa ventured, holding out their tickets. "We're here to board." Marcus's response was immediate, a curt shake of his head. "Not you," he replied sharply. The family's excitement withered under the weight of his tone. Robert's frustration bubbled to the surface, memories of past prejudices igniting a protective fire. "Fiberglass, is there a problem? We have first-class tickets," Robert asserted, his voice tense, eyes locked on Marcus. The surrounding passengers began to murmur, both confused and empathetic. Marcus shrugged, signaling that he had no intention of letting them pass, his disdain for Robert's assertiveness palpable. The tapping of Robert's phone against his palm felt like ticking clockwork. He composed himself amidst the chaos and made a call, a decision laden with gravity. As Robert spoke, the unease mounted, rippling through the crowd. Airport staff fidgeted, glancing nervously at Marcus, whose confidence waned. The tension thickened. Yet the Gibson family maintained their calm, Maya clutching her mother's hand, Thomas peering wide-eyed. Then, the atmosphere shifted as airport supervisors arrived, the sight of them a tidal wave of impending change. Robert stood firm, the call transcending personal resolve into a moment of collective reckoning. Apologies poured in from the airline manager, revealing first-class tickets were indeed valid, and the flight was halted for review. Robert's heart raced as he pondered what this moment meant, a ripple in a system steeped in discrimination. He shared what could be done moving forward with Lisa, the children now watching with hopeful eyes. Would today mark a shift not only for their family, but for so many others? The energy felt electric, something vital brewing beneath the surface, ready to erupt, though the full magnitude of its impact still lay ahead. Robert stood at the boarding gate, feeling the weight of the moment pressing on his chest. "We have first-class tickets," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. Marcus, the flight attendant, met his gaze with a dismissive smirk, crossing his arms. "Not on my flight, you don't," Marcus replied, his tone dripping with contempt. Lisa held Maya's hand tightly, while Thomas shifted nervously beside them. "Excuse me," Robert continued, clenching his fists. "This isn't right. We're not going to be bullied here." "Be real." With each word, a newfound clarity settled over him. He took a step closer to Marcus. "I'm calling someone who can help." His heart raced, but he held on to the calmness that surged within. Robert dialed Richard Calloway's number. "It's Robert Gibson. There's an issue with boarding?" "It's urgent." He glanced at his family. They mirrored his determination, their expressions shifting from fear to fierce resolve. The tension escalated as Robert recounted the exchange. Other passengers began to take notice, whispering among themselves, murmurs rising into a crescendo of concern. Supervisors arrived, Marcus's bravado crumbled. "This is a mistake," he stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "No mistake," Robert asserted, taking a deep breath. "We deserve respect." The supervisors approached, offering apologies, immediately confirming their tickets. The flight would be suspended for review. Knowledgeable to Lisa, Robert whispered, "This isn't just about us anymore." A small victory ignited herd, their dignity restored. A clear reminder that one courageous step could lead to real change. Robert felt a knot in his stomach as he approached the boarding gate, fingers clenching around the tickets that promised a special celebration for their grandmother's 90th birthday. The moment he met Marcus's cold gaze, unease settled over him like a thick fog. This wasn't just a flight, it was family. But the way Marcus dismissed them, first-class passengers treated like second-class individuals, pulled at his heart. "Excuse me, we have first-class tickets," Lisa interjected, her voice shaking slightly but firm. Marcus remained unmoved, reciting some vague policy as if he were rehearsing lines. Maya and Thomas clung to their parents, wide-eyed with confusion and fear. Robert's frustration boiled over. "Propagate. Let's just make this call," he said, forcing a calmness he didn't feel. As he dialed, Marcus's eyes flickered with disdain. This was his territory, his authority, and Robert's subtle bravery only seemed to irk him further. Tension thickened in the air, other passengers turning their heads, whispers trailing like shadows. The arrival of airport supervisors felt electric, their anxious bodies racing towards the scene. Silence blanketed the chaos as Robert's calmness painted a stark contrast to Marcus's unraveling demeanor. He felt a surge of hope as he explained the situation, the authorities acknowledging the injustice. The moment felt cinematic, the kind that could reshape destinies. "Sorry for the inconvenience, Mr. Gibson," the airline manager said, her voice steady. "We're suspending the flight for an operational review." Robert could have shouted in joy, but he simply nodded, sharing a silent victory with his family. Marcus stood off to the side, a shadow of his previous arrogance, methodically dismantled. As the Gibson family was escorted to the VIP lounge, An air of dignity enveloped them. Meanwhile, conversations in the operations room turned towards systemic change, and Marcus faced serious evaluations for his actions. Robert had turned a moment of prejudice into an opportunity for accountability. Wrapped in applause and quiet triumph, Robert realized that while one call could ignite change, each act of courage was a step forward, a reminder that dignity was not just a privilege, but a right for all. As I look back on that day at the airport, I'm left with a profound sense of resilience, not just for myself, but for my family. We faced an unjust situation, one that tested our patience and determination, but we stood together. When Marcus dismissed us, I felt the anger bubbling within. Yet it was my calm decision to make that call that shifted the narrative, forcing the situation into the light instead of allowing it to fester in shadows. In those moments, I realized change often begins with standing up, not shouting, but asserting what is right. Seeing the airline staff scramble after my call revealed the power of accountability. While I look forward to the positive changes born from this experience, I know the journey isn't over. So, reflecting on all of this, I ask you, do you think I went too far? What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had someone treat you like that? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss our experiences and what dignity means in our everyday lives.